Hi, everybody. I'm Lisa Shield, and welcome to Finding the Guardian of Your Soul. Excuse me. I am going to talk today about criticism from partners and why men will criticize us and then still stay in a relationship. This was a question from one of our viewers, so thank you for that. She wondered why a man would be so critical but then stick around, and I think it's a great question and something to really think about with a partner. The truth is there's no single answer to this. There's sort of can be two things going on. One aspect of this is that a man may be very controlling, and it's his way of manipulating and controlling a partner. And so it can be extremely unhealthy. And then the second part of this is somebody may be giving you honest feedback and hoping that things will change or that it will help improve your relationship. So there's sort of two things. So let's look at some of the reasons why a man may do this. So the first thing is he may stick around, be critical, but then stick around because there's a fear of being alone. He may not want to be alone, and he may choose to stay in the relationship even if he's not really satisfied with it. Maybe he thinks this is as good as it gets. A second thing is he could just be a critical person. Many of us grew up in critical families, and a lot of people have this, I'm telling you this for your own good kind of way of giving feedback. They feel that they're doing you a favor by saying, this is what I think you could improve upon. And they do it in a negative way or a way that feels critical. I grew up in a family like that with parents who were extremely critical in the way they gave me feedback. It's fascinating because I'm now in a relationship with my husband for the last 20 years, and he is so lovely. He can tell me anything, and he just does it with such heart and kindness and positivity that it never feels like he's criticizing me or putting me down. So it's also the way we've been trained to give feedback sometimes. Some people just don't even realize how negative they're being or how critical they're being. They think that they're doing it for your own good and they're doing it to help you better yourself, and they don't know another way to express themselves. Another reason why men do this, and women too, I don't just want to say that this is about men, but the woman who asked specifically was asking about why do men criticize and then stay in a relationship. It can be because, he's comfortable and the relationship feels familiar to him. So even if he believes his partner isn't fully meeting his needs, it's comfortable. I did that in my marriage. My ex-husband, it was comfortable. It was familiar to me. And I stayed because of that. I wanted a relationship, and, it felt familiar. It felt comfortable. And so I stuck around. Another reason is the hope for change. A man may believe that his partner can change and improve over time, and he may stick around to see if things can improve. So that's another reason. We're all eternally optimistic, or not all of us, but a lot of us are optimistic, and we want to believe that when we're in a relationship, part of being in a relationship is that we realize both people have flaws and that we're there to help each other grow and improve. And so we talk about, express the things that we would like to see change. And we hope that our partner will value our perspective, value our input, and then want to change, that they will be willing to make those changes out of love. A man may stick around out of love, that he loves his partner despite the feeling that it's, they're like, it's not enough. And he may want to work through the issues in the relationship. So he may really love his partner and be in love with her. And this is totally understandable, right? That you see someone's good qualities, but you also see the things that can improve, or they would, or you might be more comfortable if certain changes were made. And you love this person and you believe in them, and you don't want to throw away a whole relationship just because that person isn't fully meeting your needs. You may love so many wonderful things about them, and you just want, we're taught, one of the things that I have a bit of a disagreement about is that many therapists teach us that when you come into a relationship, a romantic relationship, two people are often attracted to each other because of the fact that they both have issues that align, and because they present an opportunity to work through those issues and to heal one another. I personally think that we have to do our own healing. And even if somebody helps trigger us or bring those things to the surface, it's up to us to make those changes and do that healing work. I tried to do that in my first marriage, and we didn't get very far. I felt like we just kept going around and around and around in circles. So when I left my first husband and I started doing a lot of work on myself, I joined any self-help program I could find that I felt might give me answers. I started to grow myself, and I became more emotionally intelligent, more capable of handling my emotions, more responsible for my own emotions. And I realized that not only didn't it work to be in a relationship with my ex-husband for 13 years and spin our wheels and try to fix and change each other, but I didn't want to be in that kind of relationship. I didn't want to pair up with another guy who triggered me and where we were always constantly trying to work through our issues together. I actually wanted to work through as much of my own stuff as I could so that I didn't bring that into my next relationship. I wanted this next relationship to be fun and playful and positive and freeing. And so that's how I set it up for myself. And that's exactly what I found. But, we do often think that love means that we're going to put up, that we're going to work through issues and problems together, and that we can grow and evolve together as a couple. I believe that you can, but I don't believe that two people can fix each other. And then the next one is convenience. Like, a man might find it convenient to stay in a relationship, especially if a couple has, shared assets together and finances, and they own a home and all. It's not always convenient if there are children involved to separate over certain things that aren't working. So they stay in a relationship because of children and finances and other assets that bind a couple together and make it difficult for them to separate and part ways. So that would be another thing, the convenience of that. Another big one, and this is more on the opposite side of things, A lot of guys stay in relationships even though they're critical of their partners because of their own projections. So this is where it gets really, really, really dicey, is if a man has low self-esteem and he's projecting that onto you, right? So he feels he can control you by bringing you down to his level. And he's projecting all of his negativity and criticism and self dissatisfaction onto you. And so he's trying to bring you down or control you, right? By projecting on you. And this is really insidious. There's a lot of people who have low self-esteem and they come into a relationship and they try to control their partner by being critical, by being demeaning, by cutting them down. And this can be insidious because when you love someone and you respect that person's opinion of you, you do want to try to please him, right? You're going to want to try to take those things to heart and really look at the things that your partner, the feedback that your partner is giving you about the ways in which he's dissatisfied with you. And you're going to probably, if you love this person, want to try to change yourself or at least modify some of the behaviors that might be bothering your partner, but out of love. And two people who love each other should want to please each other and make each other happy. But if you find that you are losing yourself in a relationship and that the criticism is unending, and it feels like you do one thing and then there's something else and something else and something else, and your partner is never satisfied with you, and it's constant criticism that keeps coming at you, and nothing you're doing is ever good enough, then there's something much, 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 much deeper going on. And it's usually not you. It can very likely be your partner and something going on with him that you may be trying to contort yourself into someone you're not, and you may be losing the essence of who you really are to try to please this person who is hypercritical. And so really look at that. Really, really, really look at that, because that's where you have to say, this isn't working for me. It's also, again, going back to something I said earlier, so important that your partner, if he gives you, if any partner, if you're giving your partner criticism or your partner is criticizing you, it is so vital that you really learn the right way to give positive feedback, right? And if your partner if what that partner is saying to you is negative and cutting and demeaning, that's not good. So my husband and I, when we give each other feedback, we do it in such a loving, positive, uplifting way that we don't say, I hate it when you do this. I don't like it. I don't like the way you do that. We don't state things in a negative way. We will focus on the positive. I love it when you do this. It makes me so happy when you ... But we say things in a very positive way so that we're not critical, so that we don't hurt each other, but that we're encouraging, and we might say, when you said this, this is how it felt to me, right? When you made this comment or when you did this thing, this is how it felt. And what I love is when you do this. And so we set each other up to win. We talk about what we want, but we state it in a positive way. I would never say to him, why don't you ever take out the trash? It's the least you could do, right? I always say, I love it when you take out the trash. It makes me so happy when you do that. And so when my husband sees the trash cans full, it makes him want to do it. Or he tends to wash every single dish, every fork, whatever, and he washes it after he uses it like a grown-up should. And then he, and he likes to have everything neat and clean. And I'm often running around and I leave dishes in the sink and he'll wash them for me. And he never, ever, ever criticizes me for leaving a few dishes in the sink. But what's so sweet about that is I will often say, babe, thank you so much for cleaning my dishes. It really means so much to me that you're willing to do that and that you never complain when I leave them there. And so he feels like my hero because I thank him. It doesn't go unnoticed that he washes my dishes. And it's so sweet. And when I do wash the dishes or when they start to stack up, the clean dishes and I put them away, he will often say to me, thank you so much for putting the dishes away. So he'll notice too, and he'll compliment me so that I will do that more frequently. I know it sounds a little bit like a fairy tale but we want to live in the same way that you clean up your house. We keep our relationship clean. We like to really positively reinforce one another and encourage each other. And it feels good to us to do that. So that's how we give each other positive feedback, positive critical feedback, but we do it in a very positive and encouraging way. I know some of you are thinking, oh, I tried that or I did that or, and it didn't work and whatever. Well, if it's not working with your partner, you need to look at that because it's important when you're out dating, and especially if you're not in a relationship, to look for a partner who is kind, who is thoughtful, and who is positive, because those are qualities that once you're in a relationship with this person, they're going to be gold. They really are. And if you notice that somebody is critical, that he speaks badly about other people, that he's not nice to service industry, people in service industries, he's not thoughtful and kind and considerate, those things will come back to you in your relationship. He's not just going to be, inconsiderate to other people and demeaning to the people around him. He will do the same to you once you're in a committed relationship or a marriage. So you want to find a person who is kind and considerate and thoughtful and positive. These are really great qualities to look for, to highlight when you're out looking for a partner. So we have a couple of comments here. I'd love to look at these. Hi, Lisa, you're doing a great job. Thank you so much. I appreciate the feedback. And then I think some men criticize women they are in a relationship with because they want to make her believe she's never going to find someone better than him. He probably just wants to kill her charisma so she won't have kindness. That's another great thing. You can keep a woman in her place and make her feel small if you criticize her and you are putting her in her place. I agree. And I think that there are men who lack self-esteem and they absolutely do things like that. And it's awful. I think that one of the things that we're really trying to educate the women in our programs on is that you have so much power. I actually teach a 12-week course For women who are single, we are bringing some men in as well. So if you know men, or if you are a man and you're looking for love and you want to just get this solved, you can go to lisashield.com and watch my presentation and sign up for a free call with me, with a member of my team, and we'll talk to you about our work and what we do and how we can help you find the guardian of your soul. In our program, one of the things that we teach our women is what to look for in a great partner, and that you have tremendous control over who you're looking for. I remember when I met my husband, Benjamin, on our first date, I looked into his eyes and it was breathtaking. The first thought I had was, oh my God, this is the kindest person I have ever met. And he is. He's just unbelievably kind. And when I was younger, I came from a pretty tough family, critical and yeah. And so when I looked in Benjamin's eyes and I thought, oh my God, this man is so kind. It has been one of the greatest assets, one of the greatest gifts I've ever given myself, to be with a kind man, because he is such a gentleman and so thoughtful in the way he says things. I mean, it's just gold. So I'm curious if anyone else has any comments. That we have a few more minutes here. Any questions about dating, about relationships, about how to find a guardian of your soul. I've been a love coach for a little over 20 years now, and I know quite a bit about this subject. So if you have any input that you'd like to share about the subject we're talking about today, or any questions just about your own love life, or any questions about what to look for in a partner. If you're dating and you're struggling, you can ask those questions too. That's what I'm here for. So I would love to give you all some feedback. We have some more time, and I'm happy to answer some questions if anybody wants to ask them. So, one of the things that's really important to know is not to put up with abuse from people, not to allow men to speak to you with anything less than respect. And there's never a reason to treat somebody like that. So it is important for you to draw a line in the sand. People can give you feedback, and we should all be willing and open to hear feedback from our partners. As much as we want, them to listen to our feedback, we need to listen to feedback from them. But there is a right way to give feedback. And there's a loving way and a considerate and kind way to give someone feedback. And there is a very destructive, mean, cutting way of giving people feedback. So do not let people talk down to you. Do not let people abuse you, even if what they're saying is true. This was a very hard lesson for me to learn, but especially having come from a family that was critical and negative and unkind in the way they gave criticism or critical feedback. But there is a very kind, loving way to say things, and there can be a very mean and cutting way. When I was dating, right before I met Benjamin, I had a brief relationship with a man. It was 6 weeks long. And at the end of that relationship, he came at me and did what I call a character assassination of me at the end of the relationship. And I remember him, after 6 weeks, he was hurling all these insults at me. And I thought, wow, after 6 weeks, this is what you have. This is your assessment of my character. And I thought to myself, there's a lot of people in my life who say loving and kind things, but nobody talks to me this way. And I just sat there and listened to him. And when he was all done hurling these insults at me, I didn't even, know what to say. But when he was done, I just said, wow, you really don't like me. And he had the gall to say, well, are you going to look at this? And I said, I don't want to be in a relationship with someone who doesn't like me. And it was the first time I had ever really stood up for myself that way. And I just said, I'm going to hang up the phone. Like, I don't want to be treated this way. I don't want to be talked to this way. And I said, I'm just going to hang up the phone because this is not the kind of relationship I want to be in. But the arrogance of him to say to me, the arrogance to say, well, what are you going to do about this? Are you going to look at this stuff? And I was like, who are you to talk to me that way? And in the past, I would have defended myself, or I would have said, how dare you? And then I would have flipped it and said, well, you're a jerk too. You're not so perfect. And I would have engaged with him at that level. But I realized that I didn't want to engage with anyone at that level anymore. So we have somebody who says, Cassie and I discussed this a little on our call this week. I grew up with a very critical mother. I have caught myself saying things that put men down. Well, first of all, it's very brave of you to share that. And, I grew up the same way. I grew up the same way with an extremely critical mother and a critical grandmother and a critical father. And I internalized that. That's how I thought I was supposed to talk to other people. And it took a lot of growth and a lot of awareness to break those habits and find a different way to communicate. What would happen when I did communicate that way, when I would put men down, and when I was critical of men and other people, people used to say to me, you don't hear how you sound, or you don't really hear how mean you are when you say things. And I heard that a lot from different people in my life, throughout my life. And I couldn't hear it because that's how I grew up. As I did more personal growth work and as I started to look into explore concepts like kindness and compassion, thoughtfulness, caring, and I started to develop those qualities. The way I talk to people, the way I talk to myself first changed. I began to talk to myself with much more love and compassion and kindness. And then I started to talk to other people that way. This was not something that changed overnight for me, but it never worked for me to be that way with other people. And I also know how cutting it felt when my family members talked to me that way. So it was really, really, really something I had to become aware of and shift inside myself. And I know that you'll do that through this course. This is really one of the main focuses of our course, is learning how to have compassion for men and to talk to them kindly and in a way that they can come towards us and show up for us because we make it safe for them. No man will ever feel safe with you if you're critical with them, critical and shaming. Anybody else have any comments before I go? Well, I think it's right at the hour, so I am going to just bring this to a close. It has been wonderful. Oh, we have one more comment from Jeanette. Let's see what Jeanette says. If a man is criticizing, he's probably estrogenetic. Should we just say, ouch, that stings, and take time out? If we say, you don't like me, that's a clause to escape the relationship, right? Jeanette, when I said you don't like me, this man did a character assassination of me. This just wasn't one comment. It was a series of comments that went on for about 5 minutes where he was just doing this incredibly mean analysis of me. And I just thought, this is not a person I want to be with. And usually if somebody is critical in that way, it goes so much deeper. And so I couldn't have begun to gotten through to this man. He was also pulling away emotionally. I didn't know it at the time, but he was avoidant. He had really rushed into the relationship. And then once I was really committed, or I started to commit and said, yeah, let's see where this goes, he really started pulling away emotionally. And I knew something was seriously wrong. I think if a man is mostly kind and he says one or two, cutting mean comments or something, saying ouch or saying that stings, and then just leaving it and seeing what he does. And if he comes back and says, wow, thank you, or I didn't realize, you're right, that wasn't nice, let me find a better way or a different way to say that, then that's different. But this was such a cutting, mean, 5-minute character assassination on top of other things that I had been feeling in that relationship that made me say, you know what, I don't want to be in a relationship with someone like this. All right, everybody, I wish you the most beautiful rest of your day. If you love this podcast and you want to explore working with us, please go to lisashield.com, click the button all over my website to watch my free presentation. Stay to the end. That's where you can sign up for a call with a member of my team to learn more about how we can help you find the guardian of your soul. You can rate and like this podcast. We love your feedback. You can give us a thumbs up on YouTube. You can give us a heart or a thumbs up on Facebook. And please tell everyone you know about this podcast. I have a second broadcast that I do with my husband, Benjamin. That is called Getting Inside the Right Male Mind, where I probe his mind and I explore how a healthy, loving, compassionate man thinks. So please, check that out as well. I look forward to seeing you next week. Take care. Lots of love to you. Bye-bye.